Welcome to the Bible Boyz. We're live.
We're live and recording and ready.
Episode,
whatever it may be.
too many to count at this point.
Too many, that's
real.
right. You going alright, Pip?
I'm going alright, James. How are you going?
I'm good. It's a wet, cold, dreary day on the outside. I'm glad that we're getting some good rain.
Yes.
Did you know that Warragamba Dam is at almost 95% capacity?
Wow.
And back in January, it was approaching 30%.
Yes.
So thank God for rain.
Yeah.
We want to pray that rain will get to all the areas that need it.
Yeah.
But
for
here,
sure.
we're here at your place.
That's right. And it is raining. It's coming down. I was driving on Penny Hills Road.
Yeah.
Earlier. People are crazy drivers. In the
Crazy.
rain. People just go to the next level of insanity. There's
tell.
something about the rain where
Yes.
people feel like, oh, I need to get to my destination even faster now.
Yes.
Because of the rain.
Yes.
I need to get out of the rain.
When you should be driving slower in the rain.
That's right. People are absolutely crazy.
As I was coming over here, I was just telling you before, I was driving past a high school in the local area and, school zone, so I wasn't going that fast, but this high school student just ran out across the road, 3 lanes of traffic, and I just abruptly stopped. I'm going, mate, it's alright, just calm down. And he went across safely.
Any umbrella? No umbrella?
No umbrella.
Yes.
And I will say, my windscreen was a bit fogged up, so I was a bit worried I might have hit him. It's not a good thing.
That is concerning.
That is concerning, but thankfully, he's alright. I'm here, and we're live.
That's good. I gotta say, I'm like a cat in that I hate the rain. I will, Soph, it's always embarrassing, because whenever Soph and I are, leaving somewhere to go to the car,
Yes.
she'll just walk in the rain.
Yes.
And
That's like me.
I'll run.
You'll run.
I'll run ahead of her.
Yes.
And unlock the car and get in.
You must have had slippage, no?
There's been some slippage.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm not above slippage.
Nice. Yeah. So you just hate the rain.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Do you ever have you always hated the rain?
Yes. There was an incident in primary school where I fell in a puddle
Oh no.
and it was traumatic during lunchtime,
Yes.
and I had to go to my final class covered in water and mud,
No.
and everyone was pointing and laughing.
How old were you?
Slow motion. I was in year 5, year 4, something like that. So quite young, and it scarred me.
Yes.
So ever since then, I don't want that repeat. People pointing and laughing.
There's few things that are more satisfying than knowing that it's pouring rain outside and you're snug in bed.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I would agree. Although, because you're in Carlingford, did you hear that thunder on Friday night, Saturday morning?
Dude. Yes.
Very
loud thunder.
It was 3 a.m.
Yes.
I woke up and Soph, she was like, what was that? And I was like, it's thunder. And I started praying.
Yes.
Because I thought Jesus was returning.
Wow.
Is that me not quite understanding this Jesus return?
You know what? I think you can always pray that Jesus, that you're ready for Jesus' return.
Yeah. But it's this is kind of, an insight into my soul. But I was kind of praying that, if Jesus is returning, I was like, I was kind of forgive me of all my sins, and kind of I hope I'm good with God kind of thing. I know I'm good with God, but there's that kind of
That's really interesting you say that, because I had similar thing growing up. So when I grew up, I didn't grow up in, my parents bringing me to church and stuff, but I had the mindset that if you hadn't repented of, you had a slate, and every time you repented and confessed, your slate was cleaned. And if Jesus came back and you still had stuff on your slate, you're in trouble.
Oh, okay, righto.
So whenever I got scared, and I thought, maybe something bad's about to happen, I would quickly say, "Dear God, please forgive me for my sins. I pray that I, will be able to live with you forever. In Jesus' name, amen." Because I was petrified that something might happen to me and my slate wasn't clean.
Yeah.
Which is not a helpful way of thinking about it, because in Christ, there is no condemnation now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's kind of like the feeling, it's you're going to do well on a test because you've studied for it, and you get it. But on test day, you're still a bit nervous. Yes. But that's the right, I don't know. For some reason, I still feel like that.
Yeah, why do you think that's there for you?
I don't know. Because I feel like when my image of it is Jesus is going to return, and we're all going to kind of see it happen and gather together, and he's going to kind of go one by one through humanity and be like, you're in, you're out, give an account.
Sheep and goats, Matthew 25.
Yeah, that kind of image, and I'm going to be waiting for my name to be called. I'm like, I know that I've got faith.
Yeah.
You know.
But still.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh no, thanks for sharing. That's a bit vulnerable here on the Bible Boyz.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, the thunder. So in terms of Psalms, in Psalms of David, Psalm 8 was probably written as David was looking at the night sky, the moon and the stars.
Yep.
Psalm 19 probably at dawn, as the sun was rising.
Okay.
Psalm 29 probably during a thunderstorm.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he talk about thunder?
Talks about thunder.
Okay.
Thunder, power over the wind and the waves and the thunder that snaps at the cedars of the trees. And sorry, I may be misremembering it, but it
sounds right.
Yeah.
Cedars.
Cedars. That's right.
That sounds good.
Sounds like a psalm word,
Yeah.
right?
Cedars.
Yes, that's right. Selah, right? And then you Psalm 8, yeah. Moon, sky, Psalm 19, sunrise, Psalm 29, thunderstorm.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's good.
What have you been thinking about lately?
I've been thinking about Bible jokes.
Oh, please, do tell.
And I don't know if you saw my Instagram post from earlier on the Bible Boyz, but I posted.
I did.
And I asked people to send in jokes. Now,
Yes.
I don't think anyone has sent in any jokes, but that's okay, because I've got a few lined up ready to go.
Well, listeners, you can follow us on Instagram at Bible_Boyz with a Z.
Yes. And from time to time, we'll put out a message or a Bible verse or something. In this case, I asked for Bible jokes. No one sent in any, but that's okay. You can send them in later. But I've got a few lined up that I just wanted to test out on you, James. Right?
Please.
Just to...
Now, listeners, it should be said that I actually find Pip legitimately funny. And I've told this to a few people at St. Paul's.
Yes.
And they go...
To their shock.
To their shock. Because I think some people... it's interesting. I've had a few people say, I've never found Pip funny. Then I've had a bunch of people say, I used to find Pip funny.
Yes.
And I've had a few people say, I kind of still do. Whereas me, I'm unabashed. I actually do find you funny. So I'm probably not the best audience for these Bible jokes, I must say.
Well, I think that my humour will be like Van Gogh, only really recognised post his death. I think at my funeral, they'll be like, Pip led a full life. What did he do? Well, he had this podcast, The Bible Boyz, and then everyone at the funeral's going to be like, let's just listen to a few episodes.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay?
And then
it's going to take off.
That's right.
All right?
There's a podcast that has totally taken off, like in the last few years, but it was years after they finished the podcast.
What's that?
I think it's called Car Talk. Have you heard of that?
No.
I've never listened to it myself, but it was for many years and months and years, the #1 podcast in many countries. And they hadn't had a new episode in years.
Wow, there you go.
There you go. So that's going to be the Bible Boyz.
That's going to be the Bible Boyz. That's my prediction. Was it Car Talk as in TORQUE?
I don't know.
That could have been fun.
That would be great.
A missed opportunity.
That's right.
All right,
but hit me.
Here's some Bible. There's one I said on Instagram. I said, who is the most business savvy woman in the Bible?
Who?
It's got to be Pharaoh's daughter, because she went down to the bank of the Nile and she extracted a pretty significant profit.
It's pretty good, actually.
It's pretty good.
Did you come up with that one?
Yeah, well, not really.
That's the funniest joke.
Yeah. I did come up with this one.
Go.
And they become less and less Bible and more jokes.
Sure.
All right.
Sure. Okay.
But I was reading some of my ESV study notes, and in the reign of Manasseh, all right, in the Old Testament, they can trace back the first bank, the first financial institution in any society is traced back to his reign.
Yes.
And it was from the tribe of Judah, someone in the tribe of Judah, and it was actually kind of in towards Jerusalem. This bank came up, and it was actually the first bank in history to have a system of credit loaning. But most interesting, according to my study note, was the slogan. They actually had a slogan for the bank: "Credit where credit's due."
It's a long lead up to that one. Can I say, by the way, just because some people who are maybe keyed into the history
Yes.
may think that that's an anti-Jew joke.
No, it's
I'm
not.
going to say no.
No,
it's
it's
not.
not. It's just a
Yeah.
pun.
Because there is an anti-Semitic correlation between Jews and banks.
Yes.
But that's not what
it's
was
not.
in it.
I'm not
No.
an anti
You're
anything.
not
I'm
anti-
pro joke. There was a joke.
There you go.
You know.
Thank you.
And last one.
Yes.
Which is very tenuously
All right,
related to
please,
the Bible.
go.
Mary, Queen of Scots.
Yes.
Bloody Mary.
Yes.
Something to do with the Anglican Church. That's
Yes.
the link to the Bible. Anyway, I was watching the show with Soph last night, one of these kind of drama shows.
Sure.
And I had, and it was, showing all these things, all these executions
Right.
that she ordered.
Yes.
And I said to Soph, it's a shame that her accent led to the death of so many people. And Soph was like, what do you mean? And I said, originally she was just asking for a whole lot of extra cushions for the palate. Where are my extra cushions?
Where are my executions?
Yes.
Executions.
Yeah, that's right. And they took it the wrong way.
Oh my goodness.
Soph did not laugh.
Wasn't big on that one, but
she was
pretty good.
It was, anyway, that's all I got.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
That's what you've been thinking about. Very good.
Yes, and another thing I'm thinking about is
go.
I had my laptop charger was
Yes.
broken, and I want to get a new laptop. But I'm
Yes.
going to wait to Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which
Yeah,
is
right.
because I'm from my marketing background. I'm
Yes.
very tuned into these.
That's when the
deals.
prices will be lower.
Yeah, so that's late November, and I'm waiting. But I want to start creating some videos maybe for the Bible Boys.
Right,
I want to
yes.
create a video that's like explains the whole Bible
Yes.
in like 5 minutes.
Right.
As
Yes.
best as possible.
Yes.
Not leaving anything out. My idea, leaving some things out obviously if it's in
Sure.
5 minutes. But my idea is to kind of explain the Bible, each book name.
Yes.
And we're like, why is this called Genesis? Well, Genesis means beginning. Why is it called Exodus? Exit. Leviticus. Levi.
So it goes through the
Go
titles.
through every name and kind
Yeah.
of quick little explainer. Why is it called that thing? In like a little video.
That's a great idea.
That's my idea. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking about. What about you, James? What's been happening? What's been on your mind?
On Saturday, I was at a beach mission meeting, and with beach missions, it's not like there's going to be a lot of traveling, and COVID season's not going to look the way you probably know. You've been part of a beach mission team before,
Yeah,
right?
down at Windang.
Oh, you go.
The Dang.
The Dang. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, I was up at Broom's Head, called the Broom.
The Broom.
There you go.
Yeah.
But there was there's a female member of our team, a new member actually, and she says she remembers you.
Oh,
And
who's
she's
that?
her name's Garland Liang, if you know her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that name rings a bell.
Yeah, she said, "Oh, it's not likely that Pip will remember me, but we did ISCF stuff together in year 8."
Yeah, no, that name rings a bell. So she was from Cheltenham Girls originally, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the connection. Okay.
I asked her, "Would you be alright if I ask Pip on air if he remembers you?" And she said, "Oh, I think so, but I don't think he will." So I explicitly asked permission to ask, and it turns out you do remember her,
I think I remember her.
because Garland's been listening.
I know her name.
Yes.
I remember her name.
There you go.
If I saw her, I might be able to attach the name to the face. I'm
There
not
you
sure.
Yeah,
But there you
that's
go.
right.
That's good.
Thanks for listening, Garland.
There you go.
What I was thinking about though yesterday we had Sunday morning salt, year 7 and 8s. We have a bit of a morning program on Sundays for them. I was just chatting with the salt leaders about showers and the pros and cons of a morning and an evening shower, or a morning or an evening shower. Now, Pip,
Don't get me started.
are you a morning or an evening showerer?
I'm an avid, at least one. I often sometimes shower twice a day.
Wow. Not in the rain.
Not in the rain.
Yes.
Morning shower. You gotta have a morning shower. You can't tell me you sleep for like 6, 7, 8 hours and your body hasn't built up some kind of musk. You know what I mean? There's always a bit of build up of musk.
Well, I'm an avid evening shower.
Okay. But that's more of an Asian thing, isn't it?
Well, this is what I thought it'd be good to talk about. This is a key point of difference, but personally, I don't have... Actually, no, that wouldn't be true. I was going to say, personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with either. But I will say, I think inbuilt into my psyche is, not taking a shower before you go to bed. There's an issue there. Please explain to me how you can go to bed and, you've got all the maybe sweat,
Yes.
maybe some,
The grime.
grime of the day.
Yeah.
And you're happy to go to bed in that.
Yeah.
Please explain to me.
Well, shamefully, I'll willingly go to sleep covered in filth. But it's not. Going to bed covered in filth. When you wake up though,
yes.
you're about to go out into the world and start your day. That's when you want to be refreshed and clean. When you start your day.
Yes.
When you go to bed, you don't want to kind of be sparked.
Yes. Interesting.
By water. Do you know what I mean? Because water has the effect of kind of like making you more. That it's almost like a double win. Because in the morning it wakes you up as well.
Yes. See, actually, that would for me be one of the strongest reasons to take a morning shower.
Yeah.
It's to wake me up, get me refreshed, ready for the day. Although, just on the point about going to sleep, taking a warm shower, it actually can. Assuming you don't immediately go and start eating or watching movies or whatever, it can actually calm your body down and get you ready for a good night's sleep.
But, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. But for you, what do you think? What is something you'd like to ask me as an evening shower person?
How do you live with yourself?
How do I live with myself? Quite well.
I guess my question would be, when you wake up in the morning, do you feel fresh? Do you feel, or is there an element of my hair's not quite right, my face is a little bit kind of puffy or baggy, I wish I could just have a shower and...
See, this is where, Viv and I, Viv will wash her face in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I typically don't.
Yeah.
And it probably shows because I'm disheveled or whatever.
You're not disheveled.
Sometimes I am. Not when I'm coming to do the Bible Boyz with you.
Yeah, no.
I don't think you've ever seen me at 7 a.m. in the morning or 8 a.m. in the morning or anything.
I've never understood washing your face either.
Oh,
just your face.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when I've tried to do it,
yes.
What happens is my face goes red for some reason.
Well, you're probably rubbing too hard with a cloth or something.
Oh no, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't work for me.
There you go. Yeah. Well, yeah. I think for me, there's a mindset that says you have to keep the bed clean relatively, even though I acknowledge. You've been lying there for a few hours, you wake up in the morning, you've got dead skin cells, you've got dust, you've got maybe sweat as you sleep. I understand the bed is not clean. Perception-wise, getting clean before you go to bed, that's the sort of mindset that I have.
I understand that. The benefit of having the shower first is your bed stays cleaner for longer.
That's supposedly.
Yeah.
I saw this graphic that was talking about how often you should be cleaning parts of your home.
Right.
Apparently... I'm not cleaning my bed in terms of bed sheets and stuff like that as much as I should.
I've never seen a realistic infographic in my life.
Really?
When it comes to cleaning.
Wait, you know what? Actually, I might have the infographic on my phone still. I was so shocked by some of these things on it. Here we go. All right, you ready?
Let's see it.
Okay. You have to clean your sink every day. You have to clean your kitchen counter every time you... Actually, no, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Refrigerator once a week, apparently.
Oh, no. Let's be real.
Toilet once a week, I do that. Bath towel every 3 uses.
No.
I do not do that.
Come on, every 3 days. What are you talking about?
Washing machine at least once a week. No, I do that.
What do you mean
once a month?
Clean the washing machine?
Yeah. So what I do is I do a hot wash with vinegar, and then I do another hot wash with baking soda.
What? You're cleaning the washing machine for your clothes?
Yeah.
Cleaning it?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Okay, well, this is what you're saying. You still haven't seen an infographic that's realistic,
No.
I guess. Yeah, but I use a vinegar and then a baking soda.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I'll let Soph know.
Sheets once a week. Now, I do sheets every 3 weeks. Now, I might be disgusting to our listeners, but I do sheets every 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think we do sheets probably once every fortnight or something like that.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Bathroom rug once a week. No, we don't do that.
Yeah, no.
Anyway.
This is probably... this infographic, you got to think about the money behind it. It's probably sponsored by some detergent company, Someone just wants you to waste all this detergent.
That's right. Anyway, that's what I've been thinking about. All right. Well, Pip, I want to ask you, what have you been reading in the Bible this week?
Well, I've been reading a bit around kind of singleness and marriage.
Yes.
Because I've got this talk coming up later in November for youth group.
Yes.
On marriage.
Yes.
And kind of sex and a bit of singleness as a topic is there as well. I'm not sure if I don't think I'm giving that talk, but maybe I am. But yeah. Anyway, reading around that, And I came across this interesting thing in 1 Corinthians chapter 7,
Yeah.
which is like a pretty famous, pretty big chapter when it comes to the topic of marriage and singleness. And
Yes.
I thought this was quite interesting. So this is Paul kind of giving his, and he says it from verse 6. He says, "I say this as a concession, not as a command." Which I think kind of means like he's about to drop some advice, some life advice, which is not necessarily like a law or a command he's kind of given to people, right? Mm-hmm. All right, just a bit of advice. "I wish that all of you were as I am." Paul was single, right? "But each of you has your own gift from God. One has this gift, another has that. Now to the unmarried and the widows I say, it is good for them to stay unmarried, as I do." All right? Now this is verse 9 is a bit that kind of weeds me out. It says, "But if they cannot control themselves, they should marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion." I just feel like, yeah, I assume when he says, if you can't control yourself, he means sexually. Mm-hmm. He means like, if you can't control your passions, your sexual desires, mm-hmm. and you're going to sin if you don't get married, you might just get married, mm-hmm. right? It's kind of unique, isn't it, that he kind of has a concession, or he has this thing that he says. He doesn't say that about any other sin. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't say like, don't get drunk, but if you really have to drink, here's a way to here's an outlet for that.
Yeah.
Don't swear, but if you can't control your language, here's an outlet.
Yes.
But here it's like, don't sin sexually with each other, but if you really can't control yourselves, mm-hmm. here's an outlet.
Yes.
Marriage. And like, marriage isn't just for sex, mm-hmm. but here, like, he seems to be saying, when it comes to sexual desire, if it's out of control in a sense, marriage is like a good option. Anyway, haven't really dug too deeply into it at the moment. I'm still in the stage of being like, what's going on? Yes. Anyway, any thoughts on this?
Well, I feel like there's almost a sense in which maybe I should just leave you to do that, because you're seeing something in God's word that's confronting you in a particular way. Maybe I'd be doing damage to the process of what God is teaching you through it to share some thoughts.
I mean, I'm interested if you've got thoughts. Like, if you want to share anything.
Sure, I'll share a bit. I think it's interesting. There's a difference between sex and what you were talking about in terms of swearing and drunkenness, for example. Because it's not the choice between sin or don't sin in quite the same way. So what he's saying is he wishes, and this is why he says it's a concession, not a command. Like, he is saying, I actually wish that all of you would stay single, unmarried. And later on in the chapter, he goes on to say it's because he wants them to remain undivided in their devotion to the Lord. I think that's in verse 35. Yeah, here we go. "I'm saying this for your own good, not to restrict you, but that you may live in a right way in undivided devotion to the Lord." And he also says in this chapter that marriage is a part of the old age, because marriage will not be in the new creation. And so as long as we're thinking about things that are eternal, marriage is not something that is eternal. And you're right, marriage isn't just about sex, but sex is for marriage. And I guess that's what his point is here, is that actually he wishes that everyone would stay single, but actually he has a higher priority, which is avoiding sin. And I think avoiding sin, it's not to be separated from the goal of living for the kingdom, but like, avoiding sin is pivotal and crucial. And actually he says that if you can't control yourself there, marriage may be something that you should consider. Now, there's so many other parts of the Bible that actually give us good things to think about in terms of marriage, which is why I think, helpfully, an older mentor once said to me, if you just want to get married because you want to have sex, do us all a favor and don't get married, because you're going to make a shipwreck of that marriage. So this is why, Paul is not trying to give us an explicit command that is to be applied dogmatically here. It's a concession, but you can actually see his priorities at play.
Yeah, okay.
Godliness matters, singleness is something that is kind of, in a sense, the default assumption for Christians, and that marriage is no longer the default assumption. Living for the kingdom is the default assumption. And there are good reasons not to get married. But if it's a choice between sinning and not sinning, do what you can, perhaps, to not sin.
Yeah.
Not even the perhaps. Do what you can to not sin.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to say as well, because Matthew 19, which is one of the really good parts that even see Jesus' own teaching on marriage and singleness. Jesus says in Matthew 19, so in the previous section here, he's actually talked a bit about the permanence of marriage and God's design in marriage. And then in verse 11, Jesus replied, "Not everyone can accept this word, but only to those whom it has been given." Verse 12, "For there are eunuchs who are born that way, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by others, and there are those who choose to live like eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. The one who can accept this should accept it." So eunuchs, at the time, people who have had their genitalia cut off or crushed and unable to actually reproduce, or even perhaps to have sex in a traditional manner of intercourse. So he says there are eunuchs who are born that way, people who are born that way. There are eunuchs who've been made eunuchs by others, but this is the key thing here. He says there are those who choose to live like eunuchs. In other words, those who forego sex and therefore forego marriage for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. But the fact that he calls it eunuchs, live like eunuchs, implies that it is a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice in this present age in order to live for what is going to be eternal. So I think it is a sacrifice.
Yeah, okay. Because it's interesting, like that verse comes straight after his disciples say, so he's talking about there won't be marriage in heaven.
Yeah.
And then his disciples are like, if this is the case, it's better not to marry.
Yes.
And Jesus then doesn't necessarily confirm or deny that statement. He just says, not everyone can accept this word, but only those to whom it has been given, which sounds like a confirmation of it.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're saying, it is better to stay unmarried. Like,
yes.
There are different categories of eunuchs, and, some choose to stay eunuch in lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, I think that what he's doing there is he's affirming the fact that his disciples are seeing how serious God takes marriage.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that can be missing in a lot of marriage and singleness talk.
Yeah.
Like, marriage is a good thing, and in order to also uphold the fact that singleness is what God has, is how we can be undivided in our devotion to the Lord, we can actually downplay how good and serious God takes marriage. But actually, he takes it seriously, and Jesus himself acknowledges it is a sacrifice to choose not to get married. Now, granted, some people who want to get married will never get married because no one will want to marry them. Some people who want to get married will never get married because of whatever life circumstance may lead to. Yeah. But for a lot of people, there will be that sort of choice of pursuing a relationship towards marriage or sex, rather. And he acknowledges it's a sacrifice.
Interesting.
And for the sake of the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are some thoughts that I had.
Yeah. Random side thing.
Yes.
Right. No marriage in heaven. Do you think... Okay, I think I know the answer to this. But do you think there'll be genders in heaven?
Will there be genders in heaven?
Will there be guys and girls?
Good question. I am inclined to think that whatever is in new creation will be God's perfected design for us. That might be going back to what was originally there at creation, male and female, God's design. Because
he does say, don't you know that we'll be like... Where's that? Don't you know we'll be like the angels?
Yeah, Matthew 22, I think you're thinking about.
Okay.
Matthew 22, where are we? Verse 29, "You are in error because you do not know the scriptures or the power of God. At the resurrection, people will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven." So that could mean that no gender, no male and female. Or it could just mean no marriage and no sex.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of that discussion, because there is, some difference in opinion on whether or not there will be male and female in new creation when Jesus returns. I guess there's a question about whether gender is for sex or gender is actually, I don't know quite how to word this properly, but gender is actually a good part of God's creation, which is then part of how sex is given order as well. If that sort of makes sense, that difference.
It kind of makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not particularly
No, I think I know. There's a lot of complexity that would probably
Yeah.
take a long time to unpack, which is okay. But
I think this is where, helpfully, like, and I'll sort of lay my cards on the table here. I think there will be gender in new creation. Yeah. Which, because I think that gender is a good thing that God has given us.
Yeah.
But this is where it's unhelpful when people say, what does it mean to be a woman? Well, it means to be able to have children. Well, in new creation, you're not going to be having sex and having children. Does that mean that what it means for you to be a woman, like you're deficient now because there's something taken away from you? And what does it mean to be a man? Or it means to be strong and take lead and be a father. Well, you're not going to be able to be a father anymore, or in quite the same, having marriage and sex and having kids. So does that mean that you're deficient now? You know what I mean? So
that's interesting. When
you tie reproduction to what is intrinsic in God's design for male and femaleness, then I guess that's where the debate comes in. Yeah. This is not me saying that, for example, fatherhood and motherhood is not important to us thinking about, for example, what it means to be a man and woman in marriage. I'm not saying that at all. I guess I'm just saying that intrinsic to say, well, what is womanhood? If you just say it's reproduction, you've got issues there.
Yeah.
Now, for example, for the woman who can't have kids and will never have kids, and in new creation possibly, when there won't be that anymore.
Yeah, they're really helpful thoughts. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to keep thinking about it.
Yeah, nice. Thanks for sharing.
As the talk looms. Yeah, anyway. What about you? What have you been reading?
Yeah, so I'm continuing on in some of the books I've been reading in the past. Still in Revelation, still in Joshua. But one of the things I wanted to share is from John's Gospel. So I've been reading John's Gospel with one of the guys from church. And we were in John chapter 5 last Thursday. And it's just a really beautiful scene in John chapter 5, verses 1 to 15 rather, where there's this paralyzed man. There are a few paralyzed people who Jesus heals in the Gospels, and in this one, there's this man who's been lying at a pool for 38 years. And Jesus asks him in verse 6, do you want to get well? And the man thinks, oh, well, no one's going to help me get into the water, because there's this perception that if you touch the water, you'll be able to get healed somehow. But Jesus heals him. And then the Jewish leaders have an issue because he picks up his mat and they say, oh, you're doing work on the Sabbath. There's something that you're doing that's wrong. But then when Jesus comes back to speak with him, verse 14, later Jesus found him at the temple and said to him, see, you are well again. Stop sinning or something worse may happen to you. Now that's just really fascinating for me. And I think I had a bit of an emotional, I did have an emotional reaction to reading this passage, because for me, I actually became a Christian reading the story of the Paralytic Man in Luke chapter 5. So another chapter 5 in the gospel narrative, where Jesus says, your sins are forgiven, when the paralyzed man's friends lower him down from the roof. And I remember in year 11 reading that passage and going, wow, this guy's paralyzed, but Jesus says his biggest problem is his sin. And he forgives his sin. Here in John 5, we see another instance where Jesus's main thing, his main take-home thing for the guy is stop sinning or something worse may happen to you. So once again, he heals a paralyzed man, but his primary focus isn't so much on the paralysis, but on this man's eternal state and sin's presence in this man's life. So I think I was just reminded helpfully that, Jesus is the great healer. He does come to heal our physical infirmities and our mental illnesses, and ultimately he will do that in new creation. But the biggest thing that Jesus came to heal us from, the biggest problem we have, is our sin.
Yeah, nice.
I think I was just reminded of that really helpfully as I was reading this. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts about this passage here in John 5?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think it appears in any other gospel. It's just in the Gospel of John.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I think you're right. Like, it shows Jesus' priority like we were talking about with Paul, about, you know, not falling into sin, not being in a state of rejecting God, but to live a life of obedience to God and relationship with God, and that's the priority here. It is interesting that he says, stop sinning or something worse may happen to you.
Yeah.
What is that something worse? I wonder if he's talking about the judgment of God. Because, I mean, there's no real... I mean, we know elsewhere, maybe in John as well, where the people come and they say, or maybe it was Luke somewhere, where they say, Jesus makes the point, it's not because of sin that bad things happen to these particular people groups in history. And then he says, but unless you repent, you know, likewise will happen. So he's like, he kind of doesn't want people to make dot-to-dot connections between sin and suffering.
Yeah, that's right.
But here he kind of, he puts it forward, stop sinning or something worse may happen. So I just wonder if he's referring to the eternal kind of punishment of God, or maybe
no, I think you're right, because later on in chapter 5, he talks about judgment at the resurrection. Where are we? I didn't read this with the guy. We're not up to it yet, but John chapter 5, where are we? Verses 28. Do not be amazed at this, for a time is coming when all who are in their graves will hear his voice and come out. Those who have done what is good will rise to live, and those who have done what is evil will rise to be condemned. And he's talking about the authority of the Son to judge. So I think you're right. It is this eternal judgment. And yeah, you've helpfully pointed out that Jesus, time and time again, for example, in John chapter 9, he does this again, where he says the physical suffering of people, you can't draw a one-to-one correlation and say, oh, it's because they sinned more that they're suffering physically. He doesn't say that that can't be the case, but he says if you try to extrapolate it, like, you know, you have no authority or right to make that extrapolation. Oh, like this man was paralyzed because he was an exceptionally bad sinner or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's a helpful reminder there.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Cool.
Interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Pip, we've got an email question that got sent through, and it's one of your uni friends.
Oh,
and
hello.
one of my friends as well, but he knows you from uni.
Yeah.
Nathan, and he subject lined it fan mail.
Oh, hello, Nathan. What's his last name again?
Zing.
Ah, yes, Nathan. Cool.
You remember Nathan?
Vaguely. It's another one of those Garland situations.
Oh no!
It's like, no, I know.
I
know his face, I know his name, and I know that we've talked before, but it's like, yeah.
It's alright. Let me read it.
Let's read it.
It's a bit long, which is wonderful. Listeners, you can always email us at the Bible Boyz with a Z at gmail.com. So, here we go. Hey James and Pip, Nate here, a long-time listener and a first-time mailer. I was super sad to hear that there was no listener mail last week, so I decided to get in front of a computer and express my gratitude for this podcast. You two are great and easy to listen to, and I often find myself both challenged and encouraged after each episode. That's really
challenged
nice. And encouraged. That's right. My only complaint is that I only get to enjoy this once a week on my commute to work.
Ah, yes.
I think that's part of what's made this so sustainable.
Yes.
We just sort of rock up.
Now, I've floated the idea of a 6 hourly.
Yes.
Every 6 hours, we release a new episode.
That's right. Joe Rogan goes for 3 hours.
That's right.
We could double that because we're two people.
We're two people, he's one.
Yes.
And, you know, we've got a lot more kind of content.
That's right. Substantive content.
That's right.
That's right. Like Bible jokes.
That's it.
That's it.
So, yeah, no, I mean, we could if the demand is high enough, we might up the intake.
That's right.
If there is a petition put out by you, Nathan, and enough signatures get put on it, we might up it.
Here we go. All right, here he goes. He goes on. Pip, I don't think you'd remember me. Oh, he does. Anyway.
Vaguely.
I don't think you'd remember me, but I have been a long-time admirer of yours back in the good old CU days at Macquarie Uni. I'm glad I
get creepy now.
No, Nathan's a wonderful guy.
No, go on. No, I'm loving it so far. Go on.
I'm glad I can continue to secretly admire you from afar.
Oh, okay. Not so secret when you've now published your admiration on the Bible Boyz podcast.
That's right.
Thousands of people now know.
That's right. He goes, did you know that it is 1.002 times more common for Pip to be a girl's name? My source is the internet, so it must be right.
Really?
Yeah, that's right. Good on you for bucking the trend, he says.
There you go, because I've never met another guy named Pip.
There you go.
I don't think.
But your name's not really Pip.
No, it's Philip.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
So
yeah, but he's saying Pip
yes.
is more commonly... I've only ever met girl Pips.
Yeah, there you
like Pip and Dan on Cheese TV. Isn't that a show on Channel 10?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Pip and Dan?
Pip and Dan.
Are you sure that wasn't Toasted TV? Because Cheese TV was Jade and Ryan.
You are right.
That's right.
It was Toasted
Jack,
TV.
our listener Jack, come on.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, Jack knows.
Oh, okay.
Jack's a Cheese TV fan. OG.
OG.
So, do you ever watch Cheese TV back in the day?
No, but I had a friend named Dan,
Oh.
and we made our own little video,
Oh.
Pip and Dan.
Oh, like a Toasted TV parody or something.
Yeah, well, this was the original, my first ever attempt at publishing something online, which
there
was
you
a joke.
Yes.
We did a bit of a skit about the McDonald's executives talking about, because
Right.
they shifted from, they used to sell
Yes.
chicken and mayo
Yes.
burgers.
Yes.
And then they switched to chicken and cheese burgers.
Yes.
They don't sell chicken and mayo anymore.
No.
And so we had a discussion, and I was one executive, he was one executive, and it was like, so what's the result? It's like, we've done all the tests, we've consulted our experts, we've done all the kind of, audience examinations, and the result is clear. Cheese beats mayo when it comes to chicken.
I love it. Oh, man. All right, here we go. It keeps going.
Yeah.
I have a question / activity for you guys.
Okay.
So Helen and I, so this is Nathan, Helen and I watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix recently. So we decided to mess around with the Facebook algorithm by swapping phones and scrolling through each other's Facebook feeds. I found a whole bunch of content on gardening and interior design on her Facebook feed, whilst Helen was inundated with cute fluffy animals and electric guitars on mine. It would be great if you two could trade phones, scroll through each of your feeds, and share what you noticed. Here's to hoping that more of your loyal listeners will join in on the email party. As for me, I'll try and write in once a month with some more activities for you guys to try. Keep it up, boys, with a Z. Your fellow Bible-believing boy with an OI, Nate.
Ooh, nice. Awesome. That's it. Have you seen The Social Dilemma?
I haven't yet. It's on my list to watch on Netflix. Have you?
No, I kind of get it. Like, social media bad. I get it. I don't need to watch.
But, you want to do it? Let's go through each other's Facebook feeds.
You'll probably find lots of memes.
Alright. Okay, so this is what
Maybe
we're
some
doing.
soccer stuff as well.
We gotta share the first 2 ads we see.
Okay.
Alright, cool. So, I'm gonna scroll. Okay, I've got TGI Fridays Australia. 2 for 1 Vampire Kiss. I think it's a drink name.
Yeah, it's a cocktail deal.
There you go.
There you go.
I've never seen this before.
That's some insight into
Cool.
me.
What about
you? You got a sponsored ad from Asana.
Oh.
Didn't we talk about Asana on the podcast not too long ago?
A few episodes ago.
Productivity apps?
Yes, that's right. There
It's
you
been
go.
listening in. So this says I drink, and this says you are a productivity wizard.
There you go.
That's okay. Next ad.
All right. Your next ad is videos. For a short time, we're offering videos for a one-time fee. Oh, is this like animations? It's
Yes.
like for video production.
Yeah, because I've been looking into kind of video software and stuff like that.
Nice. Let's actually do 2 more.
Okay.
So yeah, go.
Yours is the Reformers Bookshop, Christian books.
Oh, there you go.
So far, productivity, Christian books. Next one will be Nerds Are Us. No, I'm just joking.
No, it's alright. I'll take it. Oh, here we go. Wish. Shopping made fun.
Oh yeah, Wish is very interesting.
Yes.
They've got a lot of weird yes. Oh yeah, let's see what they got.
We've got what is that? It's it's a way for you to check your phone in the shower. I think.
Okay.
And then we've got Dragon Ball Z lights. And then we've got USB cables. And then we've got iPhone camera lens filter thing. There you go. All right, anyway.
Your next one is Marvel, some kind of comic. Read free for 7 days, then $9.99 per month. Cancel anytime.
There you go.
Who would pay $10 a month to read Marvel? I guess you got to be a pretty big Marvel fan to pay $10 a month.
I did it for 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
All right, there you go.
That's why they're trying to get me back.
Mate, you got a good mix of things here. Adobe Document Cloud, sponsored ad.
I will say the other night, so there's a friend of mine who's thinking about, he'd like to get into Christian counseling.
Oh yeah.
So I spent all this time searching up like how you get accredited, different theological colleges that do Christian counseling and stuff. Anyway, and then I check my phone and it's just study here. And I'm like, oh no, my Facebook algorithm thinks that I want to, do a Christian counseling, which isn't the worst thing, but I was just going, it just gets me. Got me within 12 hours. It was just my feed was covered in that. There you go.
They're very quick.
That's right.
But yes, I don't think I'm gonna watch The Social Dilemma.
Okay.
It's like Cows. That documentary Cowspiracy.
I have not seen that. Now tell me about it.
Well, I know what it's gonna be about.
Oh,
They're
okay,
gonna try and convince me that cows don't exist, and I'm not falling for it. I've seen cows.
Oh wait, cow conspiracy.
Cowspiracy.
That cows don't exist.
Well, I think that's what it's about. Either that or something vegan.
Right.
Probably something vegan.
There you go.
But
yeah. Hey Nathan, thanks so much for sending your email through.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good times. Wait a second, sorry, I think I totally missed reading a section of his email. Did I miss? Oh, I did. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
I just remembered. Nathan, I'm sorry. You're probably listening going, oh, James, you just skipped a whole section. He said, James, you and I have been talking about starting podcasts for a number of years. I'm so glad you did something about it. I know we're overdue for another catch-up, so I promise to reach out real soon. Oh, that's really nice.
That's nice.
That's good.
All personal
good stuff.
Thing. That's good.
Thanks, Nathan. And Helen, if you're listening as well.
Yes, and just off that, if you could do any other podcast that wasn't Bible related, what would you do?
Me?
Have we talked about this before?
I don't think so.
What would you do?
Me?
For a podcast?
Oh, dude, pop culture.
Okay.
Or StarCraft analysis. Or video game news and reviews.
That's a lot of things.
Well, yeah, maybe it should be one podcast. But
yeah.
I'd love to get into the nitty gritty about game design, film production, TV production, talk even about producing, and like all the stuff that goes. I just love all that stuff, the nitty gritty of game design, television design, movie design. I also just like analyzing games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's me. What about you?
I had this idea of, having a podcast where you have someone on, and the idea is you each have 2 beers over the course of
now I understand why your first ad was the ad of the Vampire's Kiss.
But you have 2 beers over the course of 90 minutes or something, and that's or an hour or something. That's the amount of time, and it would be called a skoo or two. The skoo or two podcast,
or schooner or later.
That's even better.
You like it?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Oh no, that's how you sign off at the end of the podcast. Friends, this has been a skoo or two, and we'll see you
schooner or later.
That's it.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. We have a different beer each time.
Yes.
So we talk about that's one of the conversations.
Yes.
Talking about the beer.
There you go.
Anyway,
I like it.
Interesting.
Maybe. No, I don't think I could do that with you.
What?
I could, maybe. We'll see. Maybe
one
we'll
day,
spin off the Bible Boyz podcast.
That's right. That's a very weird direction. But interesting.
That's it. Hey listeners, thanks so much for listening to us for another week. We hope that this has been an encouraging and challenging.
Just like Nathan has been encouraged and challenged.
That's right.
Maybe you too have been encouraged and challenged.
That's right. That's right. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you
next week. See ya. Bye.